Hey gang, it is Friday afternoon, and that means it is a Facebook Live Friday. Brian Milam and Dave Baker, who is obviously sporting the blue jacket, as he is either a Columbus blue jacket or trying to get into the 101 club.
No, they love me in the 101. Listen, the blue jacket has worked in the big games this year. Last time out, it was against Alabama.
Saturday, a big game?
And if you know, Ray Mears, back in the 70s, the Tennessee coach, he wore the orange blazer. He wore it 2 times, when they played Kentucky and when they played Vanderbilt.
Isn't that something?
I didn't break it out for Vanderbilt.
And Bruce
the other
Pearl,
night.
I like that. When he was
Pearl
at
did
Tennessee,
that too.
He would bring it out.
A little homage.
Yes, little tip of the cap.
So I don't run away from it.
You know, and I was talking in the sports office a little while ago. When you go to Rupp Arena, UK has the blue haze. You know, they turn out the LED lights. That's cool. At Louisville, it's red. At Tennessee, you better get your retinas checked, because you go to Rocky Top Saturday and there's going to be an orange tint to everything.
I just cannot believe you just threw that 16-inch softball up. And what I would say to you, our viewers, if anybody knows anything about getting their retina checked,
giddy up, guys. But it's going to be a wild game in Knoxville tomorrow, because so much is on the line for both teams. Tennessee has wrapped up the SEC regular season championship.
They got the number 1 seed.
Number 1 seed. Kentucky is on the doorstep of doing something unthinkable a couple of weeks ago, possibly a 2 seed with a win. If Kentucky loses, could drop to a 5 seed. So a lot on the line tomorrow, and if Kentucky was to falter, would need some help on Saturday.
Here you go, just since you asked about this.
See, you're talking about a 16-inch softball.
If Kentucky wins, they've got the tiebreaker over everybody.
That's right.
They Alabama, and they would be tied with Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina. And so Alabama and Auburn are 2-2 against this group. South Carolina's 1-2. So if the Cats win, Kentucky will be the 2 seed, because they would be 2-1 against that group. That's right. If UK wins and either Alabama or Auburn loses, there are a couple of different scenarios. But if Kentucky loses, this is where things get a little iffy. Let's see. If Tennessee wins and Alabama and Auburn win, all 3 of those teams have better league records than Kentucky.
Correct.
Cats would still finish tied for 4th, but they wouldn't get the 4 seed in the tournament if South Carolina beats Mississippi State, because the Gamecocks would win the tiebreaker over Kentucky.
I might have to write that up in a full screen for you for later on.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's a full page here. It was a deal in the Herald Leader. I mean, like you said, they could be as high as 2, they could be as low as 5. I think most certainly you want the double bye, but if they fell to 5, they would play the winner of the 12 and 13 game on Thursday.
Which is not a bad.
No, and some people like a team to get that game under their belt.
I do. I would, especially with as electric as Kentucky has been. If you here's one thing I need John Calipari to do one time.
It's not take out the trash.
Get a lead like you have a 95-70 lead. Take out the guys. Put in some of the other players that need a little work, that need to get their legs loose. Sit down the Dillinghams and the Shepherds, let them rest their legs, because if you do play Thursday and to win the SEC championship, you have to win 4 games in 4 days. And we know John Calipari says it every year. He doesn't care about the SEC tournament. In this case, you should, I think, because the last thing you want to do is to possibly lose Saturday and then stump your toe on Thursday, and then you're like, okay, now where's this game?
See, and I will defend Cal just a little bit, even though he doesn't need me to defend him.
Well, counterpoint.
I think what he said is
Dan Aykroyd, Jade Kirk.
Wow. I would say that when he first got here, what he was saying was he felt like this team, year in and year out, should have its business taken care of.
Right.
Where their seed would be set, a high one, no matter what happened in the SEC tournament. I think the line was, they brought me here to win national championships, not SEC championships. Some people didn't like that, but I understand what he's saying. However, this year, there's still a lot that could happen moving forward or moving backwards in the seed line, depending on what happens in conference tournaments next week.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think UK fans look at so much is, it's not just if UK wins or loses. There are other things in the country that happen that can change what happens with other teams. And if Kentucky wins Saturday in Knoxville, what a huge win that would be for the resume. If Kentucky wins 2 or 3 games, or even 4 games in the SEC tournament, we're talking about a team that 6 weeks ago, a month ago, people were saying, are they going to be a 7 seed, an 8 seed? They could climb to a 3 seed. Who knows, a 2 seed, depending on what else happens in the country. But first things first, you got to take care of Tennessee in Knoxville. And if you go back, was it last year or year before? I can't remember. My trips to Knoxville are getting a little frazzled. But,
the old steakhouse?
But UK had to win. I mean, their season was on the brink, not to go John Feinstein or anything.
Wow.
But their season was on the brink, and they won 58-50 in that rock fight against Tennessee, and it turned things around. And Jacob Toppin even mentioned after that game, he said, we understood how important this game was. Cal took away the cell phones, took away all the negativity, and UK won and then proceeded to have a pretty darn good rest of the regular season. But Kentucky has got to beat Tennessee, I think. Certainly if they win, they get the 2 seed. That means you don't play until Friday. You get an extra day to watch what's going on. 3 games to win a title instead of 4. But getting to the championship round for UK would be huge, because we have seen this team. It wasn't that long ago where this ball club, you didn't know who was showing up. They could score 100 and give up 105. They could score 71 right after scoring 109, and you're thinking, well, what happened to the offense? So it's been a team that has been fun to watch. It's been entertaining. It's also been maddening. It's been upsetting to some how they can control somebody and then lay an egg to an LSU team who got all the bounces in Baton Rouge. So, but this is going to be good tomorrow, because Tennessee has to win to more than likely lock down an overall, not an overall number 1 seed, but a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. So the last thing Tennessee wants to do, lose to Kentucky at home, then maybe stub their toe in the SEC tournament and get knocked out of a 1 seed, which Tennessee has never had, a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They have never been to a Final Four on the men's side. They went to the Elite 8, I think, 14 years ago, I believe. They've never been where Kentucky has been for basketball. So a lot on the line. And Rick Barnes, he's been much maligned, I think, sometimes at Tennessee, because he has very good teams that do well in the regular season and then just kind of stutter and sputter and get to the Sweet 16 maybe, and then they fall short. So
last year in Knoxville, I believe Kentucky won 63-56, right?
Okay, so the game I'm thinking of was 2 years ago.
Right. But still, you're exactly right. I mean, and I've got a lot of great friends down in Knoxville, and I mean really good friends from the university down there, and they are long-suffering, like many Kentucky football fans were before Mark Stoops got here.
Sure.
I mean, I can't tell you the number of nights I've ridden back to the hotel in the van with Tennessee guys after they've had a good team and gotten knocked out of the SEC tournament. Yeah. And that's the big rub. And I mean, Rick Barnes, guy's a Hall of Fame coach, no question, with what he's done at Texas, what he's done here, what he's done elsewhere at Clemson, wherever he's been. I mean, he's a great coach. And anybody you talk to will tell you he's a better guy than he is a coach.
Right.
But, you got to do it sometimes. And so Kentucky has stumbled around a little bit and everything, but now they've won 7 of 8. It'd be 8 in a row had it not been for that putback at LSU, right?
And that weird bounce off the top of the backboard.
Yes. And all of a sudden things look a lot different. The perspective is much different.
And Kentucky has a situation with 4 guards. DJ Wagner's starting to get his feel back, I think.
No question.
You have 4 guards at Kentucky. I can't think of, just off the top of my head, the last time UK had 4 guys that could be on the court at the same time that could put, theoretically, each of those 4 could put 20 on the board each night. Obviously, the team that went 38-0, they were loaded more, I think, with, you had the taller players. You had your forwards that could do some damage. But Kentucky's got 4 legitimate scoring guards, and if the game gets tight late in the game, you pull Onyenso, you put Trey Mitchell in there, who's a good free throw shooter. You have 5 excellent free throw shooters on the court. I think that if Kentucky has the lead by, let's say, 3 possessions, 2 to 3 possessions under 3 minutes to go. That's a heck of a lineup to have if they are available.
Dude, that'd be a heck of an effort to put in if they had a 2 or 3 point possession. Listen, it's not that it can't be done, but here's the thing about Tennessee. Tennessee is the one team in the league that can manhandle anybody.
That's true.
I think physically, not executionally, but physically, when they're on, there's a separation in the league between Tennessee and everybody else. Now, you've still got to execute. And Cal hasn't called me, but there's still a chance that he might.
I can call him for you.
Sure, absolutely. But I'll tell you what I'd do now. I'd go hack-a-shack on Dalton Connect.
Man, that guy's awesome.
I'd use some. I mean, I'm not going to let him stand out there and knock down 8, 9, 10 threes.
Yeah.
I mean, make him get him in twos, and then those guards you talked about for Kentucky, let them come down to the other end and trade 3 for 2.
I have no problem with UK matching up with Tennessee, except when he talks about being physical. What did Gonzaga do to UK?
Right.
Came in here and went to the EK guy, the big guy, time after time after time. Watching Alabama. Let's go back to that Alabama game in Lexington. What did Alabama do? The first 9 possessions, they had 6 dunks, 5 dunks. They went right to the body.
But those weren't physical. Those were because everybody got free on that high pick and roll.
But still,
yes,
pick and roll, you put a body on somebody. You've got to bust through that wall and take care of business.
That's where Trey Mitchell helped this time. And he wasn't in there. Shoot, dude, I just think.
That's right. Trey Mitchell, this team has turned it around a little bit.
Yes, they
Just
have.
his presence on the court.
And he knows he's healthy.
Something.
He wore that brace for just one game. Mm-hmm. Didn't have it on the other night. I think, too, I think that Big Z has transformed from the nice guy at the Y to the guy that if you hang on me one more time, I'm gonna
go Croatian on you.
One nation, one Croatian
on you.
I mean, I think. I'm not saying he should, but I'm
just saying.
He's gotten to the point where he's gotten more confidence now. And even though he's still a string bean, he knows how to use that body more now. And I think if somebody, because if I was an opponent, that's the first thing I'd do. I think if somebody goes at him, I think he shows a little stuff and comes back at him. And if that happens early, that could very well set a tone.
Now, we'll see what happens. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a 4 o'clock start-ish on WKYT. Then after the game, we will have a 1-hour news/post-game wrap-up from Knoxville.
It's a post-game extravaganza.
Oh, it's a cornucopia of basketball.
With a little Ben Beddoes sprinkled in. But a little Ben Beddoes goes a long way.
But you will, daggum right it does. But you're going to hear from whomever hits the podium first in Knoxville. If it is Rick Barnes and the Orange, you'll hear from them. If it's Coach Cal and 2 of his players, which more than likely it would be, you would think, just because of travel, getting out of Knoxville and getting back to Lexington. But you will have all kinds of post-game reaction to the Kentucky-Tennessee ball game tomorrow. And, man, it's, heard someone say earlier this week, well, there's not as much on the line now that Tennessee's wrapped up the SEC title. There's a lot on the line, and from the UK side, from the Tennessee side, and then there's that aspect of pride, too.
There is pride, but there is, and they want to have their big celebration, and I'm sure.
Senior Day, I'm sure.
Probably, they would want to cut down the regular season nets after the game if they won.
Rick Mears' teams used to do that. Rodney Woods did it in '75.
You can't stop Rodney Woods. Looking forward to seeing him at the Sweet 16.
He is such a good dude.
I
hope he's at the game tomorrow.
If the doors are open.
Wayne County got knocked off by Danville Christian last night in the opening round. Possibly the 2 best teams, 2 of the 3 best teams in the 12th region. So Rodney is out of the Sweet 16 if he was to make a trip. So
I hate that for him.
So that means he will be eligible to be in Knoxville tomorrow.
But we'll get to see him at the his tickets in the Sweet 16 are in a row in front of ours. I mean,
best guy of all time.
Great dude. Let's see what else we got. We got hardly nothing tonight. Explain this anomaly.
Yeah, it's a Friday in March.
Yes.
The second week of March. And because of the way the high school basketball structure is set up for regionals, and the regions get to pick when they want to play. You could play if you wanted to 3 nights in a row. or 4 nights if you wanted to have a pair of quarterfinal games, one night, semifinals, championship. You could play that in 4 days. But
most people would try to get the girls done first,
yeah,
though,
sure, right.
because their tournament is first this year.
No problem at all with that. But with the way a lot of the regions around the state format things, you could have the girls play, let's say, on a Monday. Then they don't play again till Thursday.
Right.
Then they play again Saturday. So tonight, there are only 4 games, really, but 3 that really affect Central Kentucky. And you've got the 10th region semifinals, Mason County and GRC girls from Bourbon County, and then the 12th region semifinals at Lincoln County. So, and then yes, you have the 13th and the 14th and the super regional and the 15th, which is another topic for another show. I'm all for the super regionals.
Okay.
But it's just a weird night where tomorrow, Saturday, at noon at Dunbar, you've got boys region semifinal number 1 at 4 o'clock, boys region semifinal number 2 at 8 o'clock. You've got the girls championship game,
and then they'll play
which
boys
just
on
so
Monday
happens to be 4 hours after the start of UK Tennessee. What do you think the crowd would be like at that girls championship game at 8 o'clock if UK and Tennessee played at 8 o'clock?
Well,
just saying.
Right. Some people could watch it on the phone, but obviously the folks from Franklin County and from Freddie Douglass would come out.
Somebody would be there, just not as many people.
That's exactly right. I think it'll be a big crowd. Let's see, elsewhere this weekend, though. So today you got UK baseball. UK softball has the SEC home opener tonight. It's only their second home game of the year. They beat Bellarmine the other night. They're ranked, we're like, what, 20-something or 15? I think 15 now.
Who? UK baseball?
Softball.
Or softball, sorry. They're like 17, 15,
something like that. But
LSU's third.
LSU comes in, they're ranked third in the country. They're the only major college team unbeaten. They come in at 19-0 tonight, the start of the first SEC series, and it's a top 25 series, 6:30 on the fabulous stream. And then tomorrow, season number 2. For the Lexington Sporting Club.
Big Green Machine.
Yes, sir. Much improved team. They'll take on Northern Colorado FC Hailstorm. I believe that's right.
That's a lot
right. It is. 7 o'clock over Georgetown. It's going to be an interesting season because you've got the Women's USL Super League coming on in August. But for the men, they'll play the first part of the season over Georgetown College, and then the club is going to have its stadium, beautiful facility right out here off Athens, not too far from us, ready to go in August.
Well, there's about a 3-mile run, 4-mile stretch from exit 110 to exit 108.
Yes.
That's got a lot of work with hospitals and soccer and things
schools
in between.
And
man,
all
it
this
doesn't look the
stuff.
same. Doesn't look the same. But with LSC, I think the Big Green Machine, I think there ought to be a chant. Green Machine. Green Machine.
Why not?
Just like the Mean Machine from The Longest Yard, 1974 with Burt Reynolds. I think that would be great.
And you know the greatest thing about this time of year, you love it, but everybody is talking hoops.
Yeah.
People that you don't expect. Chris Bailey was here in the studio yesterday when Barbara Eden was here. I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, yeah.
When she was the Jeannie to Larry Hagman.
And the manicurist to Andy Griffith.
And we start talking basketball, and she pulls out a rock chalk Jayhawk.
Oh, no.
Her husband's a big Kansas fan, but she follows the game. I mean, she's 92 years young, spry.
We had a great visit when she was in here.
Right?
One thing that, and I will get onto our
I think she could beat Bill Bryant in a foot race.
Oh, no question.
She made those Kansas wins disappear.
Wow.
Ooh.
Chris Bailey, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him.
Yeah, Chris is 58-46. That's what happened to the Kansas Wins. But yesterday, and I'll get onto our station a little bit here. One thing that, and I do stay in my sports bubble, probably a little bit more than I should, but there have been so many times over the 13 to 14 years I've been at this station where celebrities have come in and we don't know about it.
Right.
But yesterday, I am pulling into the parking lot, and the limo driver for Miss Barbara Eden says, "Hey, are you the sports guy?" I went, "Yes, sir."
Right.
And I said, "Well, what are you doing here, big limo?" And he said, "Barbara Eden's here." And I said, "Huh?" He said, "She's walking in right now." And of course, it took me about a millisecond to snap around and see her walk in. Well, yes, I Dream of Jeannie. She was outstanding.
Oh.
But I'm an Andy Griffith guy. And her lone episode on the Andy Griffith Show, 1962, was as the manicurist. And as Andy said, two of the greatest lines of all time. And I used one of those lines on her yesterday.
Yes.
Andy was talking about sitting, but I said standing. I said, it is a pleasure to stand here and breathe. Andy was getting his nails done in that episode. He goes, boys, it's just a pleasure to sit there and breathe. Mm-hmm. And then he says to her later on, the nature's been real, real, real good to you. And I didn't use that one, but Barbara Eden was a delight to have in this studio.
Larry Hagman got her another gig, later in their careers when he was on Dallas, and he got her a gig on Dallas.
Man, I'm a huge J.R. Ewing fan.
And just to go down the rabbit hole just a little bit further. So Dallas was produced by this production company named Lorimar.
That's right.
Lorimar decided to get into the sports business, and Lorimar was the outfit that was the precursor of Jefferson Pilot Sports.
No way.
So Jimmy Rayburn, who was the executive producer of Jefferson Pilot Sports, came from Dallas where he had been working for Lorimar.
Awesome. That is awesome.
There you go.
That is really cool. But just having her in here yesterday, it takes you to your childhood a little bit. It takes you to...
It does not take you to your childhood.
Yeah, it does, because I saw reruns.
Yeah, but I'm the only guy that saw her childhood that wasn't on a rerun.
And he's not 92.
But the show was on from 65 to 70.
That's Dallas, man.
Oh, absolutely.
You put JR in there, and of course there's I Dream of Jeannie, as you mentioned, and she actually had the little genie bottle, which was kind of cool.
I think it was 86. I could be wrong, but I believe the media party at the Final Four in 1986 when Louisville won in Dallas, I believe it was out there at South Fork, or whatever the farm is that they call South Fork in the series.
I Dream of Jeannie was on for 6 years, I think. 7 years.
Agnes Moorehead was her mom.
Oh, that's great. But I guess we've done enough damage for this Friday.
Take us on out of here, Percy.
Oh, thank you. Leonard's loser. You.
I thought you were going to go Dusty Rhodes instead of Leonard.
No, yeah, there was Dusty Rhodes may have been Leonard's losers. Leonard's post
crossover.
But we're going to get out of here. We've had fun. It's UK and Tennessee tomorrow. Huge game for both, but certainly for those of you who bleed blue.
Post game right here. He'll be in Knoxville.
I will be in Knoxville.
Doggone straight.
Get it. Always doing the right thing at the wrong time. Goodbye, everybody. We will see you next time right here on Facebook Live Friday.